Hey everyone, welcome back to Talking About God's Love channel. I'm your host, Pat Malia, and I'm so glad you could join me today. Today, I want to dive into what I think is such a beautiful and surprising moment from the book of Acts, Acts 12, 13 to 14. Now, it is a story that is both ordinary and extraordinary. It's about prayer, joy, and the unexpected ways God answers us. In this passage, Peter, one of the disciples, has been miraculously freed from prison by an angel. He heads to the house of Mary, the mother of John Mark, where believers are gathered praying for his release. And when Peter knocks on the door, it's a servant girl named Rhoda who answers. But instead of opening the door, she's so overwhelmed by joy that she forgets to let him in and runs back to tell everyone that Peter is outside. Now, this may sound like a simple scene, but there's so much that we can learn from it. Let's break it down. First, let's talk about the surprising ways that God answers our prayers. The believers were fervently praying for God to release Peter from prison. But when Rhoda tells them that Peter is at the door, they don't believe her. In fact, they tell her she's out of her mind. How often do we, like them, doubt God's answers, even when we have been praying for them? It's a humbling reminder that God's answers often exceed our expectations. Sometimes He works in ways that leave us speechless, even after we have asked for His help. God's answers may not always come in the way we expect or when we expect them to, but they're always perfect and they're always on time. And now this leads me to my second point. Rhoda's reaction to hearing Peter's voice is pure joy. She doesn't just quietly open the door. She's so excited that she forgets to let him in and runs off to tell the others. Imagine the excitement she felt knowing that God had answered their prayers. Her joy reminds us of how we should celebrate God's miracles, without hesitation, without doubt. How often do we forget to rejoice when God answers our prayers? Because we're too focused on the next thing, or we're just probably too skeptical, right? Now, Rhoda's joy is unrestrained, and it challenges us to cultivate that same kind of enthusiasm and faith. When we see God at work in our lives, let's not hold back in celebrating His goodness. Let's rejoice in it. Now, there's one more thing I want to point out, and it's something that we often overlook in this story. Rhoda is a servant girl. By all social standards, she's not in a position of power or influence, right? But she plays a crucial role in the story. God uses her, this seemingly insignificant person, to deliver the good news. He can use anybody. He can use you. He can use me. He can use all of us. It is a powerful reminder that no role in God's kingdom is too small. Whether you are a leader or a servant girl or whatever, God can use you to fulfill His plans. It's all about being available, faithful to His calling. So what is God calling you to do today? And how is He calling you? Remember that God uses all kinds of people, no matter their status, to fulfill His purposes. Every role is important in His kingdom. Don't forget that. So, what can we take away from this short but powerful passage in Acts? First, let's trust that God's answers might surprise us. And second, let's celebrate His work with the same joy and enthusiasm that Rhoda had. And finally, let's remember that no matter how small or insignificant we may feel, God can use us in big and mighty ways. Our role in His plans is always important. Don't forget that. So, the next time you hear a metaphorical knock at the door, remember, it might just be God's answer to your prayers, delivered in His perfect timing and in a way you didn't expect. Be open to how God answers your prayers and embrace His response with excitement, because He is all-knowing and His plans are perfect. I hope this message encourages your heart today, knowing that God hears and answers prayers. Thanks so much for joining me today. If this message resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments how God has surprised you with his answers. I can't wait to hear your stories. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here. And remember, God answers are always worth celebrating. Thanks again for watching.